Oh, and as we lie down, let's take a moment to bend the knees, place the feet on the ground. And as we do that, let's place our hands on the buttock flesh, press the feet down just enough so you can lift and pull the buttock flesh away from your low back toward the heels. So you can try that again if you like. We're just taking the hands to the buttock flesh, pulling the buttock flesh toward the heels away from the low back area. So hopefully that helps to spread out this all the way down to the top of the buttock, the very lowest part of the back area. It spreads out that area of the body. And then let's place the elbows out to the sides of the body, bent. We're going to keep the low back where it is. Press the elbows down to just lift your head and shoulder blades off the ground a little bit and pull the flesh from your mid back away from your low back. So up, away from your low back. And then slowly roll back down. Place your hands on your skull and just very gently lengthen the back of your neck. Not so much that your chin is pushing into your throat, but just a little tiny bit of length. And then we'll roll the shoulder blades, flatter onto the ground, rolling the arms out. So we've just adjusted the whole back of the body, with the idea being that we're spreading out the back body a little bit more than it was. Eyelids can be open or eyes can be closed or half shut kind of thing. And let's just take a number of slow breaths into the lowest part of the belly, the opposite side of the low back, all the way down, as far down as you can feel. So we'll inhale through the nose, fill up, inflate the lowest part of the belly. And through the nose, let's slowly, fully exhale all the air out. Try and soften the jaw, the face, and the belly as the belly deflates. If it's helpful, you can bend your elbows, place your hands on your low belly for this. So as you inhale, you feel the hands inflate. You're not breathing in so much that you get tight, but just enough that you feel it. And then as you exhale, the hands are not pushing into your low belly, but they're just placed there so you can feel them start to fall in toward the body. So the low back continues to spread out. So do this a few more times. We don't want to be out of breath. Just want to start to breathe more deeply in a way that we can make contact with ourselves without growing tension in the body. Let your mind be a part of your breathing. We'll just be here for a couple more rounds. Let your mind be very curious about your breathing. What's the texture and temperature of the inhale? What's the texture and temperature of the exhale? Good. One more round. Beautiful. We'll pause here, and you may want to continue to slowly breathe like that, or you might drop the breathing a little bit more softly. That's just fine. Maybe if you have your hands at your belly, you want to keep them there. Or if the hands are out, maybe you want to keep them there. Or maybe you'd like to slide one hand onto the center of the chest, around the spiritual heart center, just as a way to make contact with this part of your body and to draw your attention to this part of your body. So you might have one hand on the low belly and one hand on the heart center, or both hands on the belly, or both arms out, or one arm, one hand on the chest and one hand out, right? So you've got lots of options. Just checking in what feels good. And so as this one hand has come to the center of the chest, the heart center, allowing the attention to be drawn there. And there's a lot of attention that floats all over the place in our work lives and our work day. There's phone calls and there's emails and there's meetings and there's projects. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to amp you back up. But I'm acknowledging, right? The reality of things. And as a way to harness the mind, can we start to funnel that attention slowly, albeit slowly, into the place, if your hand is on the center of your chest, into the place underneath the hand, feeling the body breathing, setting an intention for your time that you've set aside for yourself right now, whether it's to reconnect, or maybe you're working on something within yourself, forgiveness, understanding, curiosity. And you might see it as a figure, like a picture, or it might have a color or a shape to it, but place it here at the center of the chest. Let yourself see it or feel it or hear it. Let it be real, that intention for yourself. And as it lives there now, we're going to take a slow, full inhale into the belly. And then, if you can, breathe up into your chest, into this place where you've placed your intention. Hold it at the top. And as if you were screaming it out to the universe, we're going to take a big, long exhale out the mouth. And let that intention be known energetically. Lips come to touch. Breathing slowly through the nose. As you inhale, let's bring the legs up and toward the body. And rather than pulling your knees into your chest, you might place your hands behind your knees, your fingertips behind your knees, or you might place your hands on your shins and consider bringing the top thigh all the way by the hip crease toward the lowest part of your belly. So rather than lifting the low back and the buttock off the ground by pulling the knees into your chest, see if it's possible to keep the low back and the top of the buttock spread out on the ground to keep it connected. And place your hands, either the fingertips behind the knees or hands on the shin somewhere that it feels good. Imagine that we could do something that helps us to feel good. So your mind's got to go into your low back, and there's a little pressure maybe on your legs. Rather than the knees pulling in, there's a feeling that the low back is spreading out, and maybe the legs don't come as close to the body. Let's take another breath here. Good. If you have a mat, I'm not using a mat, but you might be using one. Place your hands on the outer edges of the mat with your arms long, and roll your right shoulder blade underneath you and your left shoulder blade underneath you. So your collarbones are broader and your chest is broader. If you're not on a mat like me, extend the arms long and press the hands down into the ground, but make that same adjustment with your shoulder blades, and take your outer upper arms on an exhale down. On an inhale, press your inner legs together all the way from the thighs to the feet, and exhale and extend the legs up to the sky and lengthen your legs. Get them as straight as you can get them. Flex your toes towards your face so the bottoms of your feet are more parallel to the sky. And inhale and extend from your inner thighs to your inner knees, to your inner ankles, to the inner feet, up to the sky. Soften the belly, feel the low back spread out on the earth. Nice full inhale here. Nice long exhale. One more time. Outer upper arms press down. Inner legs extend up to the sky. Toes press toward the head. And then inhale, bending the knees. Placing the hands, interlacing the hands, or placing the hands behind the right knee or on top of the right shin. Not so much, again, to draw it into the body, but so the low back stays nice and spread out. We'll inhale here, so the left leg is free, knee is bent. And as we exhale, we're going to bring the left heel to the ground. Keep the left heel on the ground or on your mat. And as you inhale, slide, as you slide your foot nice and slow. Try and do it slow, redo it if you can. Go slow. As you slide your left heel long, extend your low back to your buttock. Extend your buttock to the back of your thigh. Extend the back of your thigh to the calf. Extend your calf through your heel. Have the bottom of your left foot be flat. So it's not touching the ground flat, but it's touching, the air, it's flat. So the toes aren't pointed forward, right, of the heel. Extend through the left leg as best you can beyond your foot. Take a nice slow inhale. Stay here with this activity. You're lengthening the leg. Stay here with this activity, but the right ankle softens. Soften the neck for one more round of breath. So it's Ekapada, half, one leg, Apanasana, wind relieving pose. On an inhale, let's bend the left leg back in. Hands come to the shin or behind, fingertips behind the knee, whatever's best for your knee. Exhale, right heel to the ground. Let's keep it there. We're going to inhale, press that heel down, and keep the friction between your heel and your foot as you slowly slide that right heel long. Keep the friction so you lengthen from your low back to your buttock to the back of your thigh, back of the thigh to the calf, to the heel, beyond the heel, and keep lengthening as if you were going to press into an imaginary wall. And I will often say this, press that foot into and beyond an imaginary wall. Draw your outer left hip in. Try not to let it splay out. And take a full breath. Soften the jaw. Beautiful. One more breath here to soften the left ankle. Good. And inhale to come back in. Good. Let's place both feet on the earth. Feet will be just about underneath the knees, but they can be wider. The feet can be wider than the hips. And sometimes that feels better, especially because what we're going to do is we're going to windshield wiper the knees left and right, but we don't have any expectation. Here's the caveat. We don't have any expectation of how close they go to the ground. If we can, this is definitely a practice where our ego is not our amigo. You guys know that statement? It's an ancient Sanskrit sutra. It's not a sutra, I'm lying. But if you haven't, read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It's good. It's good literature. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful philosophy. I'm making light of things. Okay, so ego is not our amigo. So we're not pushing as we windshield wiper the knees left and right. We're not pushing the knees to the ground. We're just slowly going back and forth, kind of feeling. And notice what happens to your low back as the knees go back and forth. Now, as my knees come to point toward the sky, I can feel the low back on the ground, and I'm going to help it. I'm going to keep that. But as the knees go over to one side, the opposite low back lifts off the ground. And that's fine, depending on how far the knees go over, no problem. But when we come back to center, can you get that low back on the ground? Can you get that back on the ground? Notice what's happened to your upper body. Are your shoulders, the top of your shoulders up off the ground? Can you roll the shoulder blades back into the body, a little bit away from the ground even, to keep the chest open? So we're utilizing the floor as a prop. We'll go a few more rounds back and forth. Notice maybe if you can sync up the breath with the movement of your legs. And you might even imagine for yourself that you were extending. So rather than just flopping one side to the other, that you were extending the top thigh, the top of your thigh, down toward the bottom of the thigh. So it's an opportunity for the beginnings of connection to the quadriceps, which could be locked up, they could feel tight, they might not feel accessible. We're just checking in. Let's do one more round. Breath and movement. So the next time that your legs go over toward the right, however far they're going, let's pause there for 3 slow breaths. See if you can lengthen your buttock toward the backs of your knees. So it's a little bit of a pelvic adjustment, and you might feel it in the left quadricep, you might feel it in the pelvis area, the hip crease, you might feel it in the belly, the psoas muscle that runs from the mid back through the belly into the groin. There could be lots of areas you might notice this with that little pelvic adjustment. Good. After your third exhale, slowly, mindfully inhale back up so the knees are facing the sky, feet on the ground. Get the low back spread out again. Nice big inhale. And let your exhale release the legs over toward the left any amount. Top thigh releases toward the bottom of the thigh. And the buttock extends toward the backs of the knee, the buttock flesh or the buttock itself. So we're adjusting the pelvis. And with the top thigh going toward the bottom thigh and the buttock adjusting, it feels a little bit like the body gets contained, from the front and the back. It's not a bad thing. On your next inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, pause, release the low back to the earth. Get it long again. You can adjust your buttock flesh. You know how to do that now. Good. Let's extend one arm across one ear, and we're going to roll to that side. So you've got a pillow for your head. And just bring the knees in here as much as feels good. So your low back feels spread out. So your low back feels spread out. And then very gently, we're going to press the forearm and the hand down. Let your head hang as you start to roll up. And we're going to roll to tabletop. And in tabletop, for placement, we're going to go into downward facing dog just a couple of times here. For placement of hands and arms and even feet and legs and downward facing dog, let's bring the big toes toward each other to touch and the knees broaden like child's pose. And then we'll inhale here in a tabletop. And as we exhale, let's press the hips back toward the heels, even if they don't touch, for child's pose. And extend the arms forward. We're not going to come into the full pose yet. But then take your shoulder blades down your back. And that might mean that you need to plug your arms back into the sockets, because a lot of us will pull the arms out and we'll dump into the shoulders in this shape. So we want to plug the arms into the shoulder sockets. If you look, I'm not down all the way, right? I'm lifted up, no problem. It's a good thing. Take the shoulder blades down the back and spread your fingers well here. We're going to keep the hands exactly where they are for downward facing dog. So exhale here and release the torso down as much as you can. Spread your fingers well. Keep your hands exactly where they are. On an inhale, press your feet down to come back to tabletop. Tuck your toes. Exhale, lift your hips nice and high, moving toward downward facing dog. And for many of us, the shoulders want to come up over the hands. So we've got to press the palms of the hands, the front and back of the palms, right? Down and forward to start to bring that chest more toward the thighs. Let's lift up your heels off the ground, coming onto the toe mounds and the necks of your toes and toes themselves. And when we do that, a lot of us, again, the torso comes forward, the upper back comes forward. So bend your knees, lift your hips, bend your knees, bend your knees, bend your knees. Lift your heels high, high, high. And as you do that, the hips lifting high, the palms pressing down, can help you to open up your armpits by drawing the chest, what feels like, through the shoulders. See if that's possible for you. And if your knees start to unbend, great, because we're all going to do that. Lift the heels high and start to unbend your knees. So lengthen your legs. Press the thumb and first finger down and forward. Don't give up on that inner hand. Nice big inhale, release the neck. We're not pushing the chin toward the throat. And as you exhale, come back down to tabletop. What I'd like for us all to feel is how long the tops of the legs feel in downward facing dog. The tops of the legs all the way up here. So one more time, slow inhale, tuck the toes. As we exhale, press the palms down and forward, lift the hips, lift the heels, and bend your knees. Start to draw the chest through the shoulders. Keep those arms as long as they can be. Keep pressing through your inner hands, the thumbs and the first fingers. Bend the knees, lift the hips. Bend the knees, lift the hips to open the armpits. And then slowly just lift the hips, lift your heels, lift your arches. Press your toe mounds down, all of them, your pinky and your big toe. Press them all down. Lengthen the arms, release the throat. Nice big inhale. And as you exhale, come back down. Good. Big toes come to touch, knees wide. Exhale into child's pose and release the arms so that the arms come over the thighs, forehead to the ground. So what I've done is I've released my hands. The hands could be down or the palms could be to the sky. You can do it either way. And the upper arms rest on the thighs. This spreads out the upper back. As you exhale, press the tops of the feet into the ground softly. Press the toes into the ground softly. As you inhale, inhale through the spine into the upper back. Let it spread out. Good. Inhale and extend the arms forward. Bring the elbows up off the ground. Exhale, press the palms down and away from your body to bring the hips toward the heels. This will help your low back to lengthen. And then inhale to tabletop. Tuck the toes, bring the knees underneath the hips, downward facing dog. And maybe you'd like to walk your feet a little closer to you. Maybe the feet can be as wide as your hips.
Wider feet give the hips more space. And see if you can get your heels to push down. With a shorter downward facing dog, it can help the low back to actually feel like it can spread out. So, but we've got to use the legs. So see if you can push your heels down into the ground, your heels down into the ground. Have the arms be long. Slow, full inhale. Bring those front ribs in toward your pelvis. For all of us, they want to stick out. One more breath. Press the heels down, 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 down. Beautiful. Now do what you can here with the feet wide to start to walk your hands slowly back towards your feet. Now, it might not be accessible to keep the knees bent. No problem. Let's lift up halfway. Bend the knees very slightly. So bend your knees very slightly. Torso's parallel to the ground. Let's fly the arms long beside you. Palms face up to the sky. Take the shoulder blades into the back and down away from your head. As you bend your knees, push the heels down, exhale. As you push your heels down, let that start to lengthen your legs. Extend through your arms so they're purposeful. Extend through your fingers. Nice big inhale, lengthen your belly forward to your chest. Take your chest toward your chin. Get a little bit more open in the chest. And as you exhale, let's fold forward. And now we're going to bend the knees as much as feels good and drape the torso over your thighs. Maybe your feet come wider. Heels could come out slightly. Release the back of the neck. Release your jaw as best you can. Now the weight coming forward here is not a problem into the toe mounds. We're going to come up one more time. Bring the weight a little bit into your toe mounds. Try not to scrunch your toes. Keep them active and long. That will attach into your legs, energy into your legs. But as the weight's forward in the front of the feet, in the toe mounds, keep it there, but then start to push your heels down to lengthen your legs. Keep the hips high. Don't let them go back. Keep lifting the hips up high like in downward facing dog. And then when it's time, lift your torso halfway. You can walk your feet a little closer together if that feels more stable. Fly the arms long beside you, palms up. Take those shoulder blades into the back. Shoulder blades down toward the hips. Inhale, draw your rib cage into the body. It wants to roll out. Slow, full inhale here. As you exhale, bend the knees, drape the chest, the torso over the thighs. It's more the torso than the chest, sorry. Place your hands on the ground and walk back into downward facing dog. Good, one slow breath here. Press back through the heels. And then inhale to tabletop. Beautiful. Let's come to a seat. I'm going to sit to the side briefly. So we'll have the legs long in front of us, seated staff pose, Dandasana. And for some of us, it's nice. You can take the flesh from the backs of the bottom of the thighs and pull it beyond the sit bones to get that idea of this is the way the energy is running in the legs. You see that my feet are flexed, the bottoms of the feet are flat. We're going to come into Mahamudra, which is similar to Janu Sirsasana, but it's not as intense in the hip as Janu Sirsasana. So Janu Sirsasana, it looks like this in the hip. That's why I'm sitting from the side. The hip, oh boy, it comes all the way
out. So the thigh is more in line with the hip. In Mahamudra, the knee is more forward. Can you see the difference? Hopefully that was pretty illustrative. Rather than the thigh being way up from the hip, the knee is more forward now. Okay. So we're going to take the right leg, rotate the foot, the knee, the inner thigh out, and pull it back a little bit. The foot might come into the thigh, or that might be too much flexion for the knee. And so you can slide the foot slightly away, and more space between the foot and the thigh might be easier on the knee. This left leg extends forward, just like Dandasana. Good. We're going to bring a little bit of movement in right now. So we'll extend the arms forward and up. Imagine that you are in downward facing dog. The palms forward, remember, like downward facing dog, and the arms are nice and long, shoulder blades down the back. As we exhale, let's extend forward. Spine stays long, front of the body stays long. Release the arms. Inhale, slide the arms back, lift the spine up, come on back up. That's an Urdhva Hastasana, it's called. Shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, extend forward. Come forward on the sit bones rather than rounding the low back. Hands come to the ground. Inhale, we'll sit back up. Let's do it 3 more times. Inhale. The exhale starts to fold you forward. You can see it's as if someone's pulling me forward. Go ahead. Feel the back of the left leg extending. Feel the spine getting longer. I mean, what happens all day long when we're sitting? All of the hip joints, not all, but the hip joints get dumped into. And so the lengthening, sit bones pressing down, left leg extended, and then the upper body lengthening forward can give some relief. As we come back up this time, and you'll just finish up on your own rhythm, we'll release the right leg and come to the left side. So the left toe, knee, and thigh roll out. And we're going to slide that knee back a little bit. Good. So we're going to do 5 rounds. We extend up, the sit bones press down. We get longer in the torso. See what you can do as you go along with your own breath. Rather than getting tight in the jaw and lifting the tongue, unfortunately, the jaw and tongue can't do the pose for the body. See if you can push your sit bones down, take the shoulder blades down your back, and lengthen your torso and chest as you come forward. And if that's not possible, see if you can breathe. A full inhale and a full exhale for each round. Extending through the right leg, toes pointing toward the sky, jaw soft. Now, perhaps you're not counting. No problem. Let's guess. What's 5? What's 5 like for you? And when you've gotten somewhere close to 5, let's pause. Extend both legs forward. Good, both legs forward. We're back in Dandasana. We're going to do just a little twist here, just a little twist. So to do this twist, we've got to press those sit bones down. See if you can. Extend the legs forward and push the heels, the backs of the heels down. Toes point up to the sky. So your legs are going to stay engaged as best you can. We'll inhale and extend the arms up, and not just to pull the arms out of the sockets, right? We're encouraging the shoulder blades to stay down the back and the middle of the body to get longer. So sit bones press down and the torso comes up out of the hips. We'll turn to the left. So as the, As the right hand comes outside the left leg, the left hand comes behind you enough that you can put your fingertips on the ground, but close enough that rather than rounding the spine, you push into the ground and lift your spine up. Lift your spine up. Now it's this middle part of the spine that's gonna lift, and that's just fine. Just lift up as best you can. Press through both legs. One leg's gonna get shorter than the other. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Exhale, take your back shoulder, this left shoulder, and rotate it into your body and extend it toward your right shoulder blade. So take your left shoulder blade into your body and extend it toward your right shoulder blade to feel a little bit of a twist. No need to look behind you and get tight in the jaw. Nice big inhale, get long, lift up, and exhale. Inhale back to center, and exhale. We go the other side. We'll inhale, press the sit bones down, extend the legs, toes to the sky, lift up, belly out of the hips. Exhale and turn the other direction. So this time, it's the right hand that's going to be behind us. The right hand's going to be behind us. So I'm just turned so you can see my back this time. And we are going to take that opposite hand and press it into our leg for a little bit of support in the turn. So press down the sit bones, extend through your legs, press through your backhand, lift the spine up. And as you exhale, use your front hand to help turn your belly from the left to the right. Take your back shoulder blade as you inhale up and take your right shoulder blade towards your left shoulder blade. Bring it into your body. Get a little turn in the upper back, just a little tiny baby one. Inhale to lift up. And then let's exhale and unwind. A turn in Dandasana might not seem like much, but to break it down like that is kind of, it's something. I think it's something. Good. We're going to bend the knees here, place the feet on the ground and the hands beside or behind you. Whatever feels good. Your fingertips could be pointed forward. Your fingertips could be out to the side. They could be behind you. And you'll just see what allows you to lift up your chest and your upper back. So it's not just pushing the rib cage out. We're not pushing the rib cage out. We're lifting, we're taking the shoulder blades in, and the skin on the top of your shoulders softens. Feet can be as wide as feels good and as far away as feels good. And one more time, we're going to start to windshield wiper. Let's see about going with the breath. This might feel really similar to lying on the back. It might feel really different. I'm going to go back and forth a couple more times. Noticing sensations in the body. Noticing your breath. Good. We're going to add a little turn with the upper body in with this. So as your knees this next time move toward the right, let's take the right arm and turn all the way behind us. So the outer legs might go to the ground and we'll turn. Oh, did I say the right? The left arm. Sorry, the right arm's going to hold you up. It's the left arm. My apologies. I think that I got it backwards. So this left arm comes and turns all the way behind you. So you get a big turn in your belly. And then we'll inhale and come back. And I'll do it to the side this time. And then as we come back to the center, knees go left. We'll take the right arm. I got it this time. We're going to take the right arm with us and go all the way back. And we'll just turn and just see what is there for you. What do you notice? And then inhale and come back. So we're going to do it 2 more times on each side. So the knees go off to the right, the left arm comes with you as you start to turn toward the right, and this left arm comes behind you as much as feels good. This whole chain of muscle along the back body. Knees go left, right arm comes with you as you turn to the left, and it helps you turn. It's very flowy, this one. One more time each side. If you've ever surfed, there's a lot of these chains that we utilize in this flowing. When we surf, there's a lot of flowing motion because the ocean is flowing like our breath. So we're meeting that, we're matching that. Good. So just get yourself even with both sides. And then when you're complete, come back to center. Good. And then when you're back to center, let's take our time, vertebra by vertebra, roll yourself back onto the ground. Vertebra by vertebra, take your time. Once you're there, again, spread out your back. You can do it like we did before if you want to try that. Good. I'm going to take the right ankle to the bottom part of, how do I say this? Above the left knee. So it's on the bottom part of the right thigh, or of the left thigh. Right ankle to the bottom part of the left thigh. So it's a figure 4 shape. Check and see what happens in your low back and hips when you do this. For me, immediately the weight dumps into the right hip. So if you can even things out for yourself and notice how that feels. Good. Bring the shoulder blades into your back body, lengthen the back of the neck. Right hand comes to right thigh. Right hand comes to right thigh. We'll inhale here and let the right thigh press into your right hand. So it's going to come toward your body, the right thigh. And as you exhale, very gently, right hand is going to press the right thigh away from the belly. Imagine that this movement was like a door on a hinge, like a screen door, and it opens and closes. It sort of easily, you sort of throw it open, and we're not going to throw our hip open, but this hinge of the hip is like that. So we're kind of opening and closing the door. It's not effortful. It's more for range of motion. And notice, does the weight come up off your left? It's essentially the SI, that's the sacrum area on the left. We want to keep that grounded. So the next time that you are pressing the right hand into the thigh, just see if you can keep it there. And take a slow breath into the hips. And when you exhale, let something soften. Your jaw, your hamstring, anything. Good. Now from here, you can bring this left thigh toward you and maybe hold behind the left thigh. Again, let's see if we can keep weight on the left hip. It's on the left side of the sacrum, essentially, but we can call it the hip. The right foot is flexed, toes face the sky. They can spread out. The left ankle is soft. See if the chest could spread out a little bit, if the back of your shoulders can soften toward the ground. If that means you slide your hands down your thigh more, great. One more inhale and exhale here. You can stay here, you can go back to the first position, or this right thigh could slide all the way over your left thigh, kind of like when you're sitting in a chair. If you ever cross your legs, it looks like that. And then the hands can stack on top of the right knee or the left knee. Even weight, if possible, on the hips, belly soft. You can do this with the feet on the ground and the arms spread out. Take the outer hips. If you're doing that, take the outer hips and squeeze them toward the midline of your body. Wherever you are, let's take another slow inhale into the experience in the hips. And soften something as you exhale and start to unwind. As you unwind, let's take the feet to the ground, slide the heels long, like we did at the beginning, remember? When we used the friction of the ground to slide the legs long so the low back extended to the backs of the thighs and the calves and through the feet. And then release, relax, and let go. And notice the left and right sides of the body. Notice if they're similar or different. And then as you inhale, slide the feet back toward you and cross for figure 4 on the left side. So the left ankle will cross on the low part of the right thigh. Left hand comes to the left thigh, and just very gently we'll sway this leg in and out like a door on a hinge. The breath is such a key part of this practice. Otherwise, the brain is doing everything and we can't feel what's happening, what's opening or what's tight or what's asking, for whatever in the body. And the breath can really help us to feel into that, to draw attention away from thinking into sensation, into feeling. And so the next time your left hand presses the left thigh away, let's pause. Both sides of the sacrum on the ground. You're welcome to stay here, or the right leg can come up. See about softening the right knee and ankle so it's more hangy than not. You're welcome to stay here or go back to the first position, or slide the left thigh all the way to touch the right. Release the ankles. Hands can come onto either knee or feet can come to the ground. Arms can be out. Either way, see about drawing the outer hips in toward the midline of the body. And then soften the belly. So rather than hardening the belly from the experience of the hips coming in, soften the belly. As you exhale, let it be long. Inhale and unwind your legs. Place the feet on the ground. Slide the heels long, extending your low back all the way through the bottoms of your feet. And then stretch the arms long without the rib cage popping up off the ground. So your back body stays as flat as possible as you extend your arms and legs long. Now, your arms don't need to go down to the ground. They could come above your head. They could come way up or along your cheekbones, but lengthen through your arms, through your fingertips, shoulder blades down the back. Press through the legs beyond the feet. Get nice and long. And as you inhale, bring those arms back onto your body or beside your body and bend the knees. Good. Check in with your body in this moment and see if there's something that your body is asking for. It could be a little twist. It could be a little Supta Baddha Konasana. The bottoms of the feet touch and the knees splay out, the shoulder blades into the back body. It might be like a happy baby pose. It might be something different. Take a few rounds of breath in some kind of movement that your body is craving, is really asking for at this moment. Let the breath be slow and smooth. And then let's wrap up and start to come into our shape for Shavasana, whatever that might be for you today. If you have pillows, that might be nice support for under the legs, knees, under the head, a blanket, anything like that. Of course, take care of yourself. If you're going to be lying on your back, because you could always lie on your side or even sit, if that feels restful for you, see about lifting and extending the right and left legs one at a time. And see about doing the same with the arms. Lift and extend the arms out to the ground so that the arms and legs feel like they have extended from the body. Take a few more moments to make yourself any amount more comfortable. Lower the eyelids or close the eyes. And then allow your mind to observe your softening exhales. So we're going to watch the breath, but we're going to try not to, this is the challenge, right? We're going to observe rather than do. So each exhale gets a little softer and shorter, and the mind watches that. Begin to notice your soft inhales and on an inhale, bring the hands to touch the belly. And on an inhale, knees bend. Extending an arm across your ear, roll to that side. And then gently press into the ground. Let the head be heavy as you roll to a seat if you're not already there. Take a moment to notice what's present in your body. Your breath and your mind. And if you'd like, palms can come to touch at the center of the chest. Coming back to your intention, notice if it has become a part of you now. And if you'd like, we'll end with the sound of Om one time. Inhale. Om. And as you exhale, bowing the mind toward the heart. Shanti, shanti, shanti.